let me just understand that he signed something today that said the sale of Alaska is illegitimate.
Right.
Well, I think I speak for all of us in the U.S. government to say that certainly he is not getting it back.
Ever wondered why Russia handed over Alaska to the USA for a mere $7.2 million? Was it really just about money, or were there deeper motives at play? To uncover this, let's rewind the clock back to the 19th century. Alaska, a vast expanse of icy wilderness, inhabited mainly by bears, moose, and some very tough folks. Now, imagine Russia looking at this remote outpost and thinking, maybe we could make a quick buck here. So, on October 18, 1867, they struck a deal with the good old U.S.A. for a cool $7.2 million. Now, before you raise an eyebrow and go, wait, what? That's pocket change for a whole state. Let's put things in perspective. Back then, Alaska wasn't exactly a hot property. It was like that fixer-upper house at the end of the street. Lots of potential, but needing some serious TLC. Russia had its reasons for unloading this icy asset. First off, they were facing some financial troubles and maintaining Alaska was becoming a headache. Plus, they were eyeing some other territories closer to home that seemed more promising. Now, why didn't everyone in the US jump for joy at the thought of owning Alaska? Well, some folks thought it was a great deal, a steal even. Others weren't so sure. They thought, what are we gonna do with all that snow? But hey, hindsight is 20/20, right? Fast forward to today, and you might wonder why Alaska's been in a bit of a funk lately. Well, turns out it's not all sunshine and salmon up there. The economy's been a bit sluggish, and they've been hit hard by factors like low oil prices and environmental challenges. So, it turns out Russia had a whole laundry list of reasons for wanting to offload Alaska like it was last season's smartphone. First off, let's talk business. Back in the day, Alaska was like the holy grail for Russian traders, with its walrus ivory and sea otter pelts being the hottest commodities on the market. Picture early Russian entrepreneurs setting up shop, wheeling and dealing with the indigenous folks up north. They even had their own company, the Russian-American Company, with all the perks, trade agreements, their own flag, the whole shebang. But by the 1990s, the party was over. The sea otters were practically MIA, and the company was on the brink of bankruptcy faster than you can say fur coat. With the Russian government staring down the barrel of a financial crisis post-Crimean War, selling Alaska started looking more and more like the smart move. Another reason was that defending Alaska was like trying to guard a mansion with a picket fence. Russia knew they couldn't protect it if the British came knocking. The place was huge, remote, and about as easy to reach as the moon. Even if they wanted to send reinforcements, it'd take weeks by boat from St. Petersburg, their HQ at the time. So, when foreign fishermen started poaching in Alaskan waters, Russia's navy was spread thinner than butter on toast. And last but not least, let's talk geopolitics. Back in the 19th century, Russia and the United States were like two peas in a pod when it came to their mutual disdain for the British. Yep, they shared a cozy little rivalry with old Britannia, and selling Alaska to the US was like pulling the rug out from under the Brits on the Pacific coast. Think about it. If the US snagged Alaska, it would be like waving a big old flag saying, hey, British Empire, we're expanding our turf, and there's not much you can do about it. So Russia figured, why not give Uncle Sam a hand in sticking it to the Brits? Edward de Stuckel, Russia's man in Washington, got chummy with U.S. Secretary of State William Seward, and before you know it, they're shaking hands on a treaty faster than you can say diplomatic maneuvering. Russia had this sneaky suspicion that sooner or later, the U.S. would want to spread its wings and dominate North America, just like it did with Texas and New Mexico. And let's face it, Alaska was like the cherry on top of the Manifest Destiny sundae. So rather than wait for the US to snatch it away in some future showdown, Russia decided to cash in while the getting was good. Now let's not forget, Russia had its own expansionist dreams, gobbling up territories left and right like they were going out of style. But Alaska? Well, it was like that shiny toy just out of reach, enticing but too darn tricky to protect. These were the reason why Russia sold Alaska to U.S.A. But wait, there's more? Curious to learn more about this fascinating historical transaction? Subscribe to W Factory and let's delve deeper into the intriguing motives behind Russia's decision to sell Alaska. While many Americans saw the potential of Alaska as a gateway to new trade routes and opportunities in Asia, not everyone was on board with Secretary of State William Seward's enthusiasm for this icy acquisition. You see, there were critics who dubbed the whole affair Seward's Folly, or Seward's Icebox. They felt that buying Alaska was like splurging on a lemon of a car, a wasteful move to boost Seward's political clout and lift President Andrew Johnson's sagging image during his impeachment woes. Imagine folks shaking their heads thinking, what on earth are we gonna do with all that frozen tundra? To add to the drama, for about 2 decades after the purchase, Alaska was pretty much the ghost town of U.S. territories. Russian settlers packed their bags and left, leaving the place sparsely populated and largely ignored. But then, in 1896, gold fever struck. Suddenly, Alaska was back on the map with a shiny new economic lure. Fast forward to World War II and the Cold War, and Alaska's strategic importance skyrocketed. Its proximity to Japan during WII and later to the Soviet Union during the Cold War turned it into a hotspot on the geopolitical chessboard. But wait, there's more to Alaska's comeback story. It wasn't just gold and strategic positioning that put Alaska back in the limelight. The discovery of oil, silver, lead, and copper added fuel to the fire. Sure, oil became a big moneymaker in the 90s, but lately things have hit a snag with declining production and environmental concerns, especially around offshore drilling in places like the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge. Flash forward to 2020, and Alaska found itself in a bit of a slick spot. With oil prices plummeting to historic lows thanks to the pandemic, the state took a harder hit than a bullseye in a shooting gallery. You see, extracting oil in Alaska is like trying to dig for gold in an iceberg. It's expensive business, especially up in the chilly north where most of the action happens. Oil rigs churning away in the frozen wilderness, pumping crude through a 300-kilometer-long pipeline, only to be shipped off to the eager markets of the West Coast.
Stevens Village was located directly in the proposed path of the pipeline. And the people of Stevens Village said, we can't let this happen, that until our claims are settled, until we have certainty about what we own and what we don't own and how this will affect us and our children, we can't allow this to happen.
But here's the kicker. For Alaska to turn a profit, oil prices need to dance past the 60 a barrel mark. And when prices took a nosedive back in 2014, Alaska's been riding the recession roller coaster ever since. Unemployment rates? Well, they've been higher than a moose's antlers since 2014, sticking out like a sore thumb against the national average. And with oil revenues typically footing a good chunk of the state's bills, Alaska's been running a fiscal deficit bigger than Mount McKinley. But fear not, for there's a silver lining in this black gold story. Back in '76, Alaska had the foresight to create a law mandating that at least 25% of oil revenues go into a little something called the Permanent Fund. Fast forward 4 decades, and that fund's ballooned to a jaw-dropping $70 billion. Talk about striking it rich. So, while oil might not be paying the bills anymore, it's the dividends from this hefty investment fund that are keeping Alaska afloat. Who said oil and money don't mix? Alaska's gearing up for a big ol' makeover from Oil Central to a more diverse economic landscape in the years to come. The silver lining here is that smart investments during the oil heyday filled up that permanent fund like a jackpot in Vegas, giving the state some much-needed breathing room in the finance department. But let's not sugarcoat it. Alaska's got some hurdles to leap over. Its remote location and sky-high transportation and utility costs are like weights tied to its ankles in the race towards economic diversification. However, with a business-friendly climate and laws that'd make any entrepreneur do a happy dance, there's hope on the horizon. And let's face it, even with all the ups and downs, it's hard to imagine the United States ever regretting that bargain basement deal for Alaska. I mean, $7.2 million for a state brimming with natural beauty, resources, and enough wilderness to make your jaw drop? That's what you call a steal of a deal, my friend. As we conclude our exploration of Alaska's fascinating history, we've uncovered the intricate reasons behind Russia's decision to sell this icy expanse to the USA. From economic challenges to geopolitical maneuvers, Alaska's journey from Russian territory to American statehood is a tale rich with complexity and intrigue. But the story doesn't end here. Alaska continues to evolve, facing modern-day challenges like fluctuating oil prices and environmental concerns while embracing new opportunities for economic diversification. So, here's a question to ponder. What other factors do you think contributed to Russia's decision to sell Alaska? Don't forget to answer the question in the comment section and hit that subscribe button. See you on the next one.